What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Quest for 18 podcast. I am one of your hosts, Allan, and we're joined by our other hosts, Jake and Earl. What's going on, you guys? These topics for today, we're talking about Marcus Smart being signed by the Los Angeles Lakers after being bought up by the Wizards. We're talking about Shake Milton getting waived. We're going to talk about, of course, the NBA Summer League, and these are takeaways or at least any stories as well from Jake, and these for other stuff. Just off-season talk, just the big news that's been going spiraling around the NBA. So how you guys doing?
Oh, we here. Sorry, I was trying to figure out my mic. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. It's a good day. The Lakers have been doing some stuff, which is always great to see. Appreciate you bringing up Summer League. Last week, I missed the Quest for 18 podcast because I was at Summer League with Kaden, which was really cool. It was a fun experience, but excited to talk about the Lakers. What's up, T-Wone in the chat? I see you. What's up, Kaden? How you doing? Yeah, excited to talk about all this, man. I think the Marcus Smart move in particular is really, really important and great for us. What's up, Hayes Muse? But yeah, I think that was a great move. They've actually made, I think, 3 really good moves when you look at it unbiased. But again, still, I guess on everyone's mind, like they still haven't made a trade in the offseason in 3 years still. So I'm really curious if we're going to see that. It seems like we might be getting that really soon, but they don't necessarily have a time crunch like some people are saying now that, we saw they waive Shake Milton today. But I mean, you could tell from that there's a lot to talk about today. So I'll send it over to Earl.
Oh wait, wrong microphone. I can already tell.
Yeah, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, bet. Yeah. I've been in my low-key Woj Earl Lakers bag on Twitter. Big news dropping today, man. We already know Lakers have to make another move in order for this Marcus Smart stuff to work. So obviously something big it doesn't even have to be big. Something will happen in the next couple of days. Like Jake said, maybe not as urgent. We have a long way to the season actually happening, but I'm excited. Like, shout out to Kaden too. We had like some text conversations in our group chat about like how Rob Pelinka is really I feel like he's done a good job. Like, we haven't moved any assets. We got a starting center. We got some more defense, and we got a defensive minded guard who can also shoot threes. We got another younger wing, which I know Jake LaRabia. He's not the most elite wing in the world, but he definitely has traits of being a great defender, which I love, especially after we lost DFS. So I think shout out to Rob Pelinka. He's doing a lot of little things. Like, I know, like, we joked around like the term moves around the margin. I'll argue that this is the best he's done with moves around the margin in a very long time. Like, we're talking about little moves that really cost us no assets to get. It's really just recruiting. And I know we'll talk about later. Shout out to the boys. Like, it looks like everybody's like kind of locked in. Like, Luka's recruiting people. That kind of shows his loyalty right now. Austin Reeves recruited Jake for us. Not this Jake, but Jake LaRabia, of course. Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be fun. Shout out to Jake as well at Summer League and Kaden. Great content for the network we got to see across all our social media channels. Make sure y'all following. But yeah, I'm locked in, man. I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun podcast episode.
Isn't it also fun that, and you just kind of said this, that there's a dude with the same name as me on the Lakers, and that's pretty rare. I don't know if we've ever had a Jake. I can't think of it. Allan may know. I don't know. But common name. It's just he kind of does look like me a little bit. Being a white guy who's named Jake, I mean, you don't see that much in the NBA for sure. Even like the dude on the Raptors, Jakob Podol or whatever, that's like pronounced Jakob. Like, no Jake, no Jacob right there. What's up, V7? How you doing? Thomas Sorber and Liam McNeely. Why would we want them? Thunder and Hornet. Out of here, Cub. I'm an Earl truther now. Okay. Well, we got a nice little chat going today. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. Let's send it back to Allan.
Yeah, let's start with this one. The key one being Marcus Smart has been not say officially signed yet because Lakers still have to make some moves, but When those moves do occur, he's going to be officially signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, being our at least backcourt, maybe with Luka, maybe he's above Austin Reeves, maybe behind Austin Reeves. Who really knows how JJ Redick will settle that? But we're adding a impactful guard who the Lakers had been eyeing for a long time. I remember, at least on this podcast and many other networks, we talked about how Marcus Smart should be a target for the Los Angeles Lakers. So at least for you guys, what was your these immediate thoughts on that deal and just the impact of what he could bring and where he should be among this Lakers roster?
Well, I'll start by saying, in the chat, addressing that. Hayes Muse said, y'all think we get a trade during this pod? I would love that, and I guess it's possible, but I'm hesitant because every time that we've thought we were going to get that in the last year and a half, I don't think we got anything really during the show. I forget when it was. Was it 1 or 2 weeks ago or something? Maybe 2 weeks ago with free agency, we thought we'd get some news during the show, and we absolutely did not. But getting back, I just joined. What were y'all talking about trading? Well, I can explain that, Abe. I think a trade is extremely likely the more I think about it, because if they wanted to cut Jordan Goodwin, which is the only other route, then they would have done that and probably announced it at the same time as Shake Milton. But from what we've seen from them with Jordan Goodwin, they need to waive Shake because of I don't think they want to cut Goodwin at all, V7. They've actually, to my point, kind of made a huge effort to keep him. They brought him up to a standard contract, wanted to use him for the playoffs, but not just that, also picked up his option or whatever it was this summer. They're trying to keep him on the roster, and it seems a lot of fans want to keep him. I'm with you guys. I think JJ wants to keep him. So actually there has to be a trade. And why that matters also is because it won't be a minor trade. It's going to be significant. I would say a medium significant trade, because the only other salaries now, you look at the list who you could trade to open up this money is Dalton and then a bunch of 10 million guys. And we know Dalton has some value and can get you something back. But even if it's not him, we're talking about $11 million of Gabe Vincent or Maxi Kleber or whoever. So I view it as there's going to be something significant, and that makes it harder to put a deadline on it. Y'all were talking about doing it, seeing a trade during this. I don't know. The one thing I will say in terms of the Marcus Smart deadline of it all is if I saw Anthony Irwin, who's the worst person in the world, maybe talking about this, but he was kind of speaking facts. Marcus Smart also clears waivers tomorrow, I think it was, or whenever it is. If they don't announce that signing right away, that means they are doing a trade. And I do agree with that, because if they announce it right away, that'll probably come with simultaneously cutting Jordan Goodwin, which means no trade. But if they don't announce it right away, they may still be looking for something and waiting on that. And so, yeah, I think that could happen. But what he brings to the table, I'll let Earl cover most of it. Just for me, he's you can look at the ratings. Even to this day, when he's on the court, he's one of the best guard defenders in the NBA. I think at his peak, he was one of the better guard defenders in history, because he's the only guard to win Defensive Player of the Year since Gary Payton in 1993. So his defense is still there, even if it's a little worse than that year, those Celtics days. And for me on offense, the concerns people have, I don't personally have or understand, because I've seen the guy hit catch and shoot threes at a high level in the playoffs, in big games. I've also seen how great he is at cutting, which is going to be important next to Luka and LeBron. But he's okay being off ball. And then also offensively, he's someone who can pass like crazy. People kind of forget that aspect. I think his career high in assist was 5, but that's a lot. And he showed he was capable of running, 5 a game, but he was capable of running point guard. And that adds another interesting element. So the complaints are about the shot selection. I don't see that being an issue at all when you already have Luka, Reeves, and LeBron on the court. I don't think we have to talk about shot selection from a role player. But for me, I would start him next to Luka. I would absolutely bench Reeves. I don't think he's at the point where he's done anything to that would be this crazy dramatic thing to bench him. But I don't know if they'll do that. So we'll have to see how they use him.
Yeah. First of all, I'll say absolutely incredible signing. Like when we talk about what we needed going into this offseason, the biggest thing I preach, and all of us pretty much, I'll take the head of the committee, get Gabe Vincent off my team, bro. I feel like Marcus Smart as floor level is what people thought Gabe Vincent would be for us. I think Marcus Smart, obviously, like we said, he's a great defender, and we need that type of defense on our team. Luka can't really defend at a high level. Austin Reeves can't defend at a high level. Gabe Vincent can barely guard players at this level of his career. You're bringing in Marcus Smart, who was a defensive player of the year, like Jake said, lockdown defender, passing lane guy. He can hit on the cuts. He's capable of being in a point guard type situation in some lineups if he has to be. Good catch and shoot shooter as well. I see all the memes about him potentially taking game winning shots and not passing it to the star player. There won't be any of that. First of all, with LeBron and Luke there won't be any of that foolishness on the team. We're locked in the locker room. Trust me, we're good. We're not worried about that. So I'm excited, man. This is like, once again, I think we talked about this too. Rob Pelinka always finds something random. Like I didn't think about Jake LaRabia. I don't think any of us did before we started talking about free agency. I didn't think about Marcus Smart, and we sure weren't 100% thinking about Aiden as well. Those are three guys who we didn't know were available at all that Rob Pelinka went out. Obviously, credit to Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves as well, and they got. So this just continues the theme of like, I'm going to give a lot of credit to Rob Pelinka, of course, throughout the show, of him kind of actually saying what he means, like moves around the margin. This is what I think when I think, hey, Rob Pelinka says we're doing moves around the margin. We're not necessarily giving up anything, but we're adding to the core. And it looks good. And I'm with you in the chat. Shout out to Abe in the chat. I would absolutely be down to bench those guys. Do y'all realize if there's a situation where we bench Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura and we add more defense to the starting lineup and we have those guys come off the bench, you know how deadly of a team that makes us? We have Austin Reeves, a 20-plus point per game scorer who pretty much can run his own lineup. He can be the focal point in the second unit with Rui Hachimura, a great catch-and-shoot player. And I would argue that I think he plays better in lineups without LeBron because they play similar. Now, I'm not saying that LeBron and Rui are the same player. That's not what I'm saying at all. They just have a similar body style. They have a similar type of gameplay where they like to attack the rim, get to the basket, good catch and shoot players as well. And I think Rui Hachimura in that second unit can absolutely destroy teams. So if we start talking about that, like we look at all these championship teams, what wins these guys these championships? It's the guys off the bench as well. Did y'all see TJ McConnell? Like, I know they didn't win, but TJ McConnell kept those guys in 90% of those games. Like, TJ McConnell was coming off the bench. He put up, he had a game where he put up like 12, 13 straight points when they were struggling, brought the team all the way back. Now, imagine that on the case of having an Austin Reeves on the offensive end when our offense is stale, or LeBron James and Luka Doncic, one of those guys need a rest, but you want the offense flowing. You have that, plus Rui Hachimura. Like, I think that's so important, and I think people don't value that. We get caught up in the fact, like, hey, what's a starter this, starter that? Like Jake said, I don't think Austin Reeves, and no disrespect to Reeves, I don't think it's anything he's done where it's like, you have to be a starter or he should be mad at anyway if he's not a starter. I think it would almost be a compliment. Like, look, just think about it like this. You know who was one of the best six-mans and who didn't even want to be a starter and thrived in that role? James Harden. Real talk. James Harden said he didn't want to start. He didn't want to mess up the chemistry with the starting lineup. He wanted to come off the bench and kill. Like, if Austin Reeves had that mentality, I think the sky's the limit for this team. So that's my thought process. Like, if we have a combination of Marcus Smart, I'm saying it right now, I would love to bring Reeves off the bench. And easily he'll be sixth man of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, he would. I agree. And also for the chat, like, the Rui and the Reeves off the bench stuff, like, why are we putting these people on a pedestal who aren't stars? Like, that's what I don't understand. I mean, if it was I'm trying to think of a good example, like, no one would ever have a conversation about benching Luka or LeBron or a top 20 player, but because they need to re-sign offseason before they bench Reeves. They need to re-sign Austin, my bad. V7, but the opposite of what you're saying makes it way easier to do all these things. Like, if they want to re-sign Austin at a cheaper number, it's better to put him on the bench. It's better for us. You're saying it's better for Austin to start, which I get. I agree with that. Teams know what he's worth. No, I think you can hide him on the bench to some degree. Like, not make it seem like he's a star. Why? Why they wanted him? The Lakers don't want to lose Austin for nothing, but I can promise you guys they won't be giving Austin $200 million next offseason. So if that's what they want, if that's what Reeves and them want, then the Lakers are actually going to trade Austin Reeves at the deadline. They would never have traded him before this season, clearly, but absolutely they will trade him at the deadline if they have to. And you can get a good return for that. So I'm not really worried about Austin. Austin will get 25 to 35. I mean, I agree, but it's like, if we give him 30, then I would do like 3 years. Like I would do 90 or like 4 years, 120. But anything where it's like 200 million, I don't want to pay Austin Reeves that, guys. I'm sorry. They will give him 200 million before letting him walk. I disagree. I think they just trade him at the deadline. Like I don't know why we're acting like the Lakers are in a bad spot with Austin. It's going to work out one way or another. Re-sign him and trade him. Trade him when, though? I don't know. There's a lot to think about, but one lineup I did see, guys, was like Luka, Austin, Smart, LeBron, and Aiden. Or I should say like Luka at the 3. And like, even though you can do that for stint or whatever, depending who you're playing, I think it's a horrible starting lineup because imagine Luka becomes the guy who's chasing people around the perimeter at the 3, the 3 position, like Rui was with the MPJ. It's going to be a billion times worse with Luka and ruin his energy. So there's no way Austin, Marcus, and Luka all start. That doesn't make sense to me. Also, Marcus Smart has a good wingspan, but he's still 6'3". Austin is the chaser. Yeah, I guess, but like, how are you going to hide Luka, LeBron, and then have Austin be the chaser? Like that defensively is so bad. I'm keeping same starting lineup unless we get a 3-and-D starting win. That's what we're all hoping for, I think. Right? Like if Andrew Wiggins fell into your lap, I feel like it kind of completes the team. I don't know. Maybe we'll touch on that, Allan, but I feel like that's kind of the next step after the Marcus Smart thing is like you're going to need a really good 3-and-D, and in my opinion, you're going to need a backup center. I don't think Hayes is a backup center. I think as a third string or with an injury, it's fine. But have a better backup center. I had us 3 pieces away from competing with the Rockets before Marcus Smart. I now have us 2 pieces away.
Yeah, they'll probably talk about in the more making moves category for that one. Of course, at least within this Marcus Smart deal, I believe also we gave our biannual exception. So that means at least the next guy we probably would sign would be on a veteran minimum. And they said we'll go to my options around that. Like I said, for the chat, if you can or you will, share this podcast, share this playback with your friends, family, or at least other Laker fans as well. Drop your any questions. We always appreciate your questions. We look at them, we talk about them, and it just drives the conversation. We're very much a conversation podcast, and we like to have fun out here. So yeah, as always, just have a great time here. Drop your questions and talk about for Marcus Smart, we talk about Sorry Lambs. You guys mentioned it. Luka and Marcus Smart being the projected for ESPN. They dropped a depth chart for that one. I'm about to put it up on screen.
But Allan, I do agree.
For you guys.
Oh, here it is. Okay. It's loading. There you go. Kind of blurry. Can kind of see it though. Zoom in. That always helps.
Good.
Yeah, it's better. It's better.
But yeah, these for ESPN, they have Luka Doncic as the starting point guard, Austin Reeves as the shooting guard, Rui Hachimura at the small forward, LeBron James at power forward, DeAndre Ayton at center. For the backups is Marcus Smart twice because they're uncertain about the backcourt, but Marcus Smart, maybe. Jake LaRavia at small forward, Vando at power forwards, Hayes at center, and of course Gabe at 3. So if you guys, when you look at these lineups, like, do you agree with them? Like, what would you guys change automatically?
Ooh. I'm sorry, like just sorry. That ill was exclusively for Jackson Hayes. I forgot he was on our team, my bad. Yeah, it's like I kind of agree to Jake's point. Like I still feel like we're like at least 2 pieces away. Like I'm trying to get to the point where I'm looking at the depth chart and I see a viable 2 option there off the bench, and just Jackson Hayes potentially just like he's on the roster, but he's not like we have to play you tonight type of situation, in my opinion. But like I definitely think we're a wing away because like you said, if you get a starting level wing, like that gives you a lot of flexibility. Either he's going to be a second rotation player, or Rui Hachimura becomes your 6-man type player, and or Austin Reeves, depending on how we construct the lineups. But I think on paper, I mean, it makes the most sense based on I guess you could use the word chemistry wise, but for us, I think defensively, it concerns me a lot. I would rather have at least a Marcus Smart or Jake LaRavia in the starting lineup. I don't care if you take out Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura, but one of those guys, I feel like have to be probably a 6-man candidate this season. That's just my opinion so far.
Yeah, piggybacking off that, like when you look at the starting lineup, I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of the best offensive starting lineups and one of the worst, if not the worst, defensively. I mean, there'll always be like the Jazz or Nets or teams who aren't trying. I get that. But if we're a serious contender, you look at that starting lineup, it's like Luka and Reeves is already really iffy together, in my opinion, in terms of defense. I think a lot of people would agree. But then I saw in the chat too, like Neil said this, you can start Luka and Reeves with an upgraded wing. And I agree with that too, because then Rui becomes the problem, as he's not actually good at defense. He's also a power forward who plays small forward because LeBron has to play power forward. You got to get Rui out of here. And I'm not saying like I would mind him. I mean, I I wouldn't mind him off the bench, but I think some people are saying this in the chat too. Rui actually has had a horrible attitude in his career about coming off the bench. And we've seen that, and there's been like talks about that and everything. I think it was mostly from the Darvin Ham times, because JJ started him mostly, but if he's gonna be, having a horrible time and request a trade off the bench, that's one thing. I just think him starting is not worth it. We need that person who's going to be the chaser, and honestly, in a sense, the point of attack defender is going to be that small forward, because even though I was talking about Austin coming off the bench, I do agree with V7 that like they aren't actually going to do that, and that's not how they view Austin. So that's fine, but get us a small forward who's somehow amazing defensively. And then you also hope they can shoot, and it's really hard to find a starting small forward like that. Yeah, like I think Thibault would make that lineup better. I don't know if he's a better player than Rui, but I think he makes that lineup better. And I also think, to Earl's point, Jake LaRavia makes that lineup better. But I also kind of view Jake LaRavia as a power forward, honestly. So it's kind of this big logjam of power forwards. Rui, LeBron, Jake, Jared, Maxi, pretty much, even though they talk about stretch 5. Rui better player, but Thibault better fit. I agree. But yeah, that's the one piece in the starting lineup. And then you look at the second string, and like Earl was saying too, you see Jackson there. He's got to slide down and be in that third string. And if Kleber was, I guess, still around, I guess he can be the fourth. He can be like the fourth power forward and fourth center. But you got to get Jackson out of that second unit. That second unit looks really bad with Jackson and Hayes. I remember, you guys probably remember too, when we were watching the playoffs and Kaden and Mark or whatever were talking about how Vanderbilt has to play next to floor spacing 5, and they kept talking about that. And they were saying Vanderbilt and Hayes doesn't work together, but that's what we're kind of projected to have right now too. So I'm not saying that 5 even needs to be floor spacing, but we need this huge upgrade from Jackson. And then I also think there's a real chance that Jared Vanderbilt's more of a spot minutes guy, like on the third string, the way this has gone recently. But I don't know why they put Marcus Smart second for point guard and shooting guard. I think it's fair to say that Jordan Goodwin's almost like second for shooting guard. If we actually had this bench there, and then you just got to fix. You have Dalton in spot minutes, Jared in spot minutes. Let's say Rui off the bench. We're going to need a starting 3 and a backup 5. That's where I'm at. Wait, I think you're muted.
Yeah,
My bad. I was muted on my thing. Yeah, I was saying basically, so we got to pack up Gabe Vincent, pack up Maxi Keebler, and figure out what we can do with that. Throw in a pick or whatever, and upgrade either a wing. Well, yeah, absolutely a wing, a starting level type wing, or a 6-man caliber type player who can be in a key rotational piece. Because like I agree, like at this point, they kind of shown that they would probably rather keep Goodwin and maybe use Gabe Vincent as a trade, because once you bring in Marcus Smart, I really don't see the value in Gabe Vincent at all. Like I was already faded off of Gabe Vincent last season. I just feel like he's way too inconsistent for me. And I think you can get that type of production easily, like way better floor wise from Marcus Smart. So I don't see the point of having 2 smaller guys. Exactly. Hey, Mile knows ball. Shout out to Mile in the chat. But yeah, I think I'm happy, man. Like I said, like people got to remember, like Rob Pelinka hasn't actually started yet. Like he has not. This is the free work, free in the name, free agency. This is the free period. Now Rob Pelinka has to get in his bag, use the assets that everybody's been begging him to use, and make something shake. Like I don't care what it is at this point. I'm in a really good place mentally going into like the beginning of this new week and seeing what Rob Pelinka does. But I do agree with you. I think Jackson Hayes being in the second unit scares me a lot. I need ideally him to drop to the third, please. And first of all, well, last thing I'll say, we're not falling for that fake Gabe Vincent. I'm not Gabe Vincent. That fake Jared Vanderbilt stuff. The whole shooting. Gabe Vincent's on a new tear this offseason with the shooting and all the workout video. We're done with that gimmick. I'm sorry. Like, if you do it, you do it. But I'm never going to load into a game and hope that Gabe. I mean, why I keep calling him Gabe? Hope that Jared Vanderbilt's going to go out there and magically start hitting threes. Like, that's cooked. We ball.
Just for both of you guys also, we've talked about the dead weight of it all. And what I'm saying is like the salaries that are high, they're 10 million, but they don't fit in this picture. Look at this picture and everything we just talked about. And then let's say even Jared does fit in the equation. He has a few years left. It's harder to trade. Leave Jared. Okay. Gabe and Kleber are literally just a waste of like 24 million or whatever it is. There's nothing else here. And the reason they have Kleber is not their fault at all. They clearly had to do that in the Luka trade. So I'm not blaming them for getting Kleber, but with him being and expiring, I have to see if we can find a way off of Vincent and Kleber, who don't appear in the second string, too, to your point, Allan. Second, go down, no Vincent, no Kleber. So why are you here and why are you making $24 million, right? You have to find something to get that dead weight off of this team. And then like one gripe at the end of it, the 5th string center, not that it matters, Trey is so bad. And I know we'll talk about Summer League. I was there. He's horrible. Trey makes Koloko look like Shaq. That's how bad Trey is. When Trey played in Summer League, you can count on him for like 0 points, 1 rebound, 3 fouls. And he's in year like 5 or 6 or whatever it is of Summer League. And he was that bad. Like Bronny is 100 times better than Trey. Dalton was horrible and 10 to 20 times better than Trey. Like there's literally no point. I don't expect him to be on the team at all. And I think maybe they'll keep Koloko around as like a 3rd or 4th string center.
Yeah. Speaking of making moves, as Jake mentioned, for this Lakers roster, they waived Shake Milton. Jordan Gibbons' contract, I believe is only $25K is guaranteed, so the rest of his was it like $3 million or so is not available. So, what moves can the Lakers expect? I know Jake mentioned as well on the X talking about Gary Payton Jr., who I believe was a switch agents, right? He's available. I think that's someone who, if we're going to trade or move on from Jordan Goodwin, I think that'd be a great replacement. And at least for you guys, what replacements what guys are you looking at to upgrade this roster? Because as mentioned, Rob Pelinka doesn't look like he's done yet.
I agree with that, but I'm going to let Earl go. I just wanted to clarify that tweet. I completely don't see the Gary Payton thing now because I also think they're keeping Goodwin. And so if they keep Goodwin and then they got Smart, I don't think it makes any sense. The agent thing, and there were a few reports that he was attached to the Lakers and he was on the Lakers. It made sense when we didn't know about the Marcus Smart stuff. But I would definitely rescind all the Gary Payton stuff because, as I kind of told you guys, we need a starting 3 and a backup 5. So I'm done with that backup defensive guy like Marcus Smart. I'm not looking at that anymore, especially until Rob trades Gabe or Goodwin, right? So I'm not on Gary Payton anymore, Allan, but I completely agree that the work's not done. Earl.
Yeah. First of all, huge shout out to my cousin, Six Man Jake. I seen a trade package he put out there in the universe. I actually kind of like it a lot. The idea of bringing in a Dylan Brooks and a Nick Richards, I think that could be like the perfect complement to kind of fix and balance out the rest of this roster. And obviously, we talked about this before. Like a Dylan Brooks, I feel like we need that type of energy on the Lakers, bro. Like just somebody who just doesn't care. Somebody who just gonna go out there, hustle hard, doesn't care if he gets crossed up. He's not scared to play defense. I feel like some guys are scared to play defense. He's an aggressive defender, whether that results in a technical foul, whether it results in getting the other team flustered on a play. Like he's the type of guy who's going to play every single possession. And I think having him, but the thing is, like, it depends on who's around him, bro. Like, I'm not asking him to go out there and get 40. I'm not asking him to do that. I have LeBron and Luka. I just need somebody to be a physical wing for our team, and I think he can provide that. And then, of course, adding in the backup big situation, they don't need Nick Richards anymore. That's done. They got Kamal Mollywash. They got Mark Williams now. So obviously, that is a center they are looking to move. They are going to move him before the season starts. So for me, I really, really like that trade a lot. Yeah, I think that could be a potential team that we can probably trade with. I don't see any problems with it. And yeah, I think it will just work out. Personally, I like that.
Yeah, I guess we can touch on a few. I'd rather get Royce and Richards. I completely disagree with that. Dylan Brooks is a way more high leverage starter than Royce O'Neal. I'm not opposed to Royce O'Neal. I just don't see that. I'm looking at the playoff stats now because I know you said Brooks was trash in the playoffs, but I think I disagree with that too. Like he didn't have any crazy numbers besides one game he had 24, but I'm seeing that he was getting steals, he was getting blocks, he was getting assists, he was getting rebounds. I don't know. The shooting percentages were good every game except one. Yeah, Brooks was pretty much like the shooter for the Rockets. I disagree with that. I think, and I've come around to this a lot, guys. The last day, as Earl kind of mentioned with this one, I think Brooks might be the best fit in the NBA for obviously like not including ungettable guys, but gettable guys. He might be the best fit in the NBA for the Lakers at that 3. Slide right in there. I don't know exactly what you give up. I'm sure they would like Rui. They would like Connect with where they're going. They would like the first, which they need. So we actually do have things that the Suns want. What, Mal? You don't think that's – but, Mal, that's not an obvious thing though, bro. Like, I'm with you, but it's not obvious. No one was saying that before yesterday. Right? I don't know. I think Dylan Brooks is like the perfect 3-and-D guy, can match Marcus Smart's energy. Let's say Smart's off the bench. That's your Dylan Brooks off the bench, right? I feel like I love his mentality, and I've come around to him as a player. They used to say this all the time about Pat Bev when he was good. They would say he's super annoying to play against, but you love to have him on your team. That's what they used to say about Clippers or Rockets Pat Bev, right? And I think Brooks fits that. So the backup center thing, Earl, like you said, there's no backup center who's easier to get in the association via trade than Nick Richards, because they actually have to give a lot of minutes to come on, and they should, but they also probably should for Mark Williams, because they did give up assets to get him, and he's still very young. I think he may be younger than Dalton. We were saying that like at the deadline. So they do not need Nick Richards at all. And I bet you that's one of the easiest people to get in the NBA. But some other trades, everyone's going to hear about Andrew Wiggins. Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams has been really popular. But now you're running the Blazers center rotation where, Robert could be injured a ton. And I know people already have concerns about Marcus Smart's injuries. I don't know if you want to add Robert Williams to that. He's better than Nick Richards when he's healthy, obviously. So I don't know. But Kaden said this the other day too, guys. You almost have to take some big swings in terms of health when like the one thing about the guy is like we don't know if they're going to be healthy. You almost have to take those chances when no other options are possible and just pray they're healthy and see if that helps you in the playoffs, because Robert Williams is a big upgrade from Nick Richards. In terms of other teams, just look at like the Nets or some. I don't know who they have, but it's not going to be Claxton anymore. Rob is fucking elite when he plays. Yeah, he is. I thought you were talking about Pelinka for a sec. They're going to keep Richards because Mark Williams hasn't stayed healthy. That's fair, but come on. And then also Oso Iguodaro, who's really good young player for them, can play the center. So I don't know. I don't know about that. He became one of my favorite players after the LeBron thing. Yeah, I agree. This not Michigan, baby. Yeah, so there's a lot of trades. There's also not a lot of trades, because how do you guys know at home what Pat Riley wants to do with Andrew Wiggins? How do you know if the Suns love Dylan Brooks and don't want to give him up? You don't. So I would say the most likely easy one is Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams, but I don't think that's the best possible.
Yeah, I'll say the same reason why a lot of people don't want Dylan Brooks on our team is the same reason why we should have him on our team, bro. I need an annoying pest, bro. I need someone who just does stupid things for the sake of the love of the game, bro. That's what Dylan Brooks is. Y'all don't miss when we had Pat Beverly and he took the camera and he showed the referee. Like, y'all don't miss that. Now imagine someone who's playable, who's a good catch and shoot 3-point shooter. Like, I'm talking about an elevated version of that. He can actually still play. I watched those Rockets games when he was the only one producing offense. He was hitting those mid-range shots. Me and Mao, we were watching it on stream. We were watching those playoff games. Him getting in his bag. We was betting on him. Respectfully, shout out to Novik. But we were betting on him hitting those mid-range shots. Boom, get into his basket. I was like, okay, Dylan Brooks actually has a legit bag. I see it, and I love that, bro. I would love that. He has different histories with LeBron James and Luka. Those type of back histories where it's like a little bit of fake smoke and then they become teammates. Best chemistry ever, bro. Best chemistry ever. I promise y'all. Like, just bro, I'm telling you, it makes so much sense that it feels like it won't happen. But it's like the most obvious fit. Like, I feel like the Suns have the most obvious answers to our problems. It's just about if they want to work a deal or not. So for me, I think it just makes sense. There's no way y'all over here wanting to watch ever. I know y'all don't ever want to see Trey Jemison check in. I know 90% of y'all don't ever want to see Jackson Hayes check in. Like, let's be real. And same people who are saying you don't want Dylan Brooks, why? Why? He's not a nice guy. I'm tired. I don't need any nice guys on my team anymore. I don't need that. I need guys who want to go out there and compete at a high level. Like, I need that competitive culture. And we got that with Marcus Smart. We said that last year going in the playoffs when we had all these streams. We need dogs in the locker room, bro. I need role players who are elite defenders and are dog mentalities, bro. Like, you have your LeBrons of the world, but who's going to be the guys to get my role players hyped too? Like, I need peer-on-peer mentorship. Like, Bron is on this level. Luka's on this level. Like, yeah, they're going to say this and that, But when you have a Dylan Brooks in the locker room talking to you like, hey, I play with star players and these guys, this is how I fit in. And you have a Marcus Smart who played with star players and fit in and was one of the best defenders on that team. Like, you can really relate with people like that. Like, we need that type of contagion on the team. And I even made this point up too. Like, I love the Marcus Smart signing. Floor level, he's in the gym with Bronny every day. Bronny has almost similar size. Obviously, he's a little bit smaller, but we describe Bronny as a defensive type guard. He gets to learn some habits from Marcus Smart. That moves me a little bit. Maybe not 100%, but obviously, like, that's something like marginal that works. So I need guys who can teach mentality for us. Like, I love Bron, I love Luka, but I need role players who actually want to win and compete. I feel like these last couple of years, people have been coming to the Lakers for a bag. Like, let's be real. Kendrick Nunn, what did he do for us? Took our money and ran away to China. Real talk. Gabe Vincent played for us a couple games. Oh, I'm hurt. First whole season. Legs hurt. I'm done. I can't play any games. This year, on and off, spotty minutes. He shows something absolutely horrible. And then all of a sudden, Gabe Vincent can't miss. And then he can't make a shot for 15 games. Like, we're off of that. So, same people who are saying you don't want Dylan Brooks on your team, you just don't want to compete and you don't want to win. Like, straight up. So, I'll take him over anybody on my bench right now. I don't care what you got to do, Rob. If you got to get rid of Dalton, do it. First round picks, do it. I don't care. Make the contracts max and go make a deal. Like, I agree. Like, and then as far as like injured players, I'm for it, bro. Like, if they have upside potential at this point, it's the last LeBron hoorah. Like, this is the last year of the LeBron era. Let's be real. So you might as well shoot as many low shots out there in the world and try to see if one of them hits. So I'm down. I think Rob's doing a great job. Now it's time to actually get aggressive and lock in.
I think also your point of like role players who used to beef with the star players have the best chemistry when they join your team is facts. And like, yeah, I was thinking about Artest and Kobe. I know V7 said that. But I also think LeBron had a lot of battles with Rondo, and that works so well. And I also think LeBron had a lot of battles with Ray Allen, and that works super well. And I feel like there's a lot of guys who fit this with the Lakers when we've won championships. So I think it's a really, really good fit. I agree with you. And you said it's going to matter if Phoenix wants to make a trade. And I agree, but I also think this one's very possible. One, they would be very interested at this point in Dalton Connect and the first round pick we have. And I think Rui, right? Last time we got a great Celtics defender, we won a ring. Not a defender. I mean, he was fine, but he was like a playmaker first and foremost. But yeah, I agree. And so I'm excited to see what we can do. To your point, Earl, like again, Rob's not finished. And you said it also, like he hasn't even really started in a way. And we don't know if he thinks he's finished because we've seen that with him before. So you can't actually say with certainty the Lakers are even going to make a trade this offseason. You cannot say that, and we have no idea if it's going to be today, right now, or in 2 months or not at all. We have no idea. So we're pretty blind now after the Shake Milton release, which that was like a deadline. And now I feel like we don't have a deadline because with Goodwin, like you said, Allan, it doesn't matter. It costs you $25,000. That's it. But everything else can just be waived.
Yeah, I'll just lightly touch on the Dylan Brooks thing, and like you said, shout out to V7 and mention Artest and Kobe. I feel like for me, if you're not a true Lakers fan, then you're not a true Lakers fan if you don't want Dylan Brooks on your team. Just because we've been through that era of watching Artest and Kobe, and we had to give away Trevor Ariza. And Trevor Ariza was a very likable guy, maybe even a mid player here and there. But as Kobe Bryant mentioned, he was one of the heart and soul players of that team. And he replaced him with one of his brothers and got Ron Artest just because they wanted to win back-to-back championships. They had to improve. And if you're a Lakers fan and you want this team to improve, you have to be okay with Dylan Brooks being on the team. Doesn't matter the agendas, doesn't matter about the social medias, this and that, whatever discourse that is going to revolve around this duo of Dylan Brooks and LeBron. You want your team to improve, and Dylan Brooks, if he does help this team improve, you have to go out there and get him. So it's sort of hypocritical if Laker fans say they don't want this type of player just because of the certain agendas, but they were okay with the Artest, Trevor Ariza back in the day deal. So that's how I feel about it.
Go ahead, Earl. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I agree. I think you put it spot on. Like this is just it's the nature of competing, man. You can never get too comfortable because every time you get stagnant, you got to think there's a ton of other teams, especially in our conference, that are getting better overnight. You can't just stay home and just, oh, he's a nice guy. I love his personality. He has to stay on the team. No, sometimes you got to trade up and go get a dog, like straight up. So I agree with you.
In the chat, like V7 just said it too. I was thinking this. The first person who would want Dylan Brooks on the team the most is LeBron. And that's the one where all these issues stem from. But I think LeBron loves players like that when they're on his team.
Yeah. Before going to some of the takeaways, you guys have any final thoughts about this current offseason moves and just what could we expect moving forward?
Well, I did say yesterday, I think on Spaces, that I would rate it like a B or B plus because I don't think I'm kind of in the middle of the Rob conversation. Like a lot of people are saying that he didn't do anything, and I disagree with that because we got 3 upgrades. However, they got there. Austin Reeves' friend, Luka recruiting Aiden, Luka recruiting Smart. I don't care. It's still the front office has to get stuff done, and they did. And it's like I also said when I compare it to last offseason, I would give it an A plus compared to last offseason because they literally did nothing. And, I don't know what their thing was with AD. They didn't want to get certain pieces for AD, clearly, but they obviously are feeling the opposite about Luka. So that's ultimately a good thing for us now moving forward. And I'll give the offseason an A minus if we can pull off a sizable trade and at least get like a starting small forward who plays defense.
Yeah, for me, I think overall, I'm gonna give these moves by Rob Pelinka. I'm gonna give it like a. See, I don't want to put it too high because I still feel like we're a little bit of ways, but what we've been given, I think I'll give him an A minus. Like going into the offseason, we had a lot of doubts. Like there was a lot of holes in this roster. Like the biggest one being a starting level center. And the more we didn't trade for one, the more different pieces started moving around across the league, the harder it was to like access a decent level starting center. And DeAndre Ayton came around, like Jake said, like, yeah, of course, like Luka Doncic, they have connection with guys like Ayton and stuff like that. But you still have to get it done on ink and paper. And that's Rob Pelinka's job. Like we even heard the reports about Ayton getting phone calls from pretty much every top contending team was after DeAndre Ayton. So every fan base trying to trash on the Lakers for getting him and call him washed. Your favorite team was actively trying to get him, and he got outbid because Rob Pelinka obviously gave a tremendous pitch to why he should join the Lakers. And I think obviously he's pretty good at that part of the thing. So in that aspect of things, Jake Larabia as well, he had a backup plan. He pretty much kind of figured DFS was gone. Now, like imagine like this, if DFS left and we didn't get anything back at all, like there was no Jake Larabia, like imagine how bad we would be looking right now. Not saying like that was a total fix, but it was a patch, and I think it was a respectable patch. And then last but not least, of course, Marcus Smart. Once again, another name nobody was really talking about. But once again, shout out to our friends, the Los Angeles Wizards. I guess we might as well call them that now. The big triangle web of trades and players go to the Wizards and then join the Lakers is actually kind of hilarious now. But yeah, I think that's huge. Like nobody was talking about Marcus Smart to the Lakers like seriously the last couple weeks. We probably mentioned it a couple of times on a podcast before, maybe last year, but like as far as like it happening this week, Rob Pelinka got it done. So I'm gonna go A minus. Obviously, kind of a higher grade, but I respect a lot of the ink to paper type of side of things.
No, for sure, Earl. And I'll finish that topic, I guess, by saying with all that is I've seen people say like the Lakers got worse or didn't get better. And it's like one of the worst takes I've ever seen online is where I stand because the only player out the door was Dorian Finney-Smith. So you're telling me filling 3 holes with DeAndre, Marcus, and Jake is worse than just having Dorian Finney-Smith? That makes no sense. And DFS is already 32 or 33 or whatever it is. I just don't understand why that take is going around. And there was nothing they can do with DFS. I don't even blame Rob for that. Like, he had made up his mind and was like, all right, I'm going to Houston. All three of the players that we just talked about, Earl, they had to, like you said, they had to outbid other teams because Jake LaRavia going for such a small contract was wanted by a lot of teams. That report came out. I forgot if it was Shams or who, but we had to outbid other teams and sell him on the idea of being a Laker. And then with Aiden, like, there was that clear Indiana fit where he had already signed a restricted free agent deal with Indiana a few years ago. And when he was a restricted free agent with the Suns. So we had to beat out Indiana and who knows who else to get that done as well. And then Marcus Smart, the report came out yesterday. There were the Bucks, Suns, and Lakers, maybe more, were interested in Smart, but we're the ones who got him. So again, it's like three of the best free agents in a weak class we got, because we weren't going to get a Miles Turner who's getting paid what he's getting paid. And that's totally fair. We don't have money. We kind of had to work with what we had, and we walked away with three of the best, most productive free agents who all have something to prove. And I don't know how much we've touched on that, but all three of them do. Two of them have player options. Then you add in Austin Reeves and Rui and Gabe and other people who, if they're here, they have a lot to prove too, being in a contract year. So we actually are setting up for a lot of success next season. I feel pretty good about it. But the only reason that I don't give it like an A or A- or anything yet, Earl, is because when you get to the playoffs and you play the Rockets or Thunder, I still view it as like you don't have a chance. And I feel like for all of us, the ultimate goal here is to win a championship. And I hope they feel the same. So if that's the goal and you have to get by the Thunder, the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, so many of these teams, you're going to have to do a little more to get over the top. But I agree with what Allan just said. That's pretty much exactly where I sit.
See, and that'll take us to the summary segment for this one. Lakers didn't finish with a winning record. I think they finished, was it like 2-4, possibly 2-3, and some highs, some lows. But overall, I think that from what we need as a team, I think that we saw Bryce James develop, not to connect, didn't take that next level. But I mean, it is what it is with Dalton. He's not a key player at this time. Shout out Darius Bazey, prayers up for him. He had an injury late into the game, but he had a phenomenal summer league, and hopefully the Lakers give him a chance if he doesn't have a serious injury. Cole Swider was shooting the lights out, played decent. Can't expect that from Cole being in his third or fourth year in the summer league. And yeah, shout out everybody else, Coloco, DJ Stewart, and everybody else doing their thing. And shout out to Lindsey Hunter as well. They did a decent job at coaching. Could have improved here and there, but overall, a decent time at summing. We'll take this away for Jake to lead up for this one. What was your perspective of the summer league, at least from you being there in person? What were a couple takeaways, or at least something that you saw?
Can y'all hear me? It says no audio detected. Okay, bet. Yeah, appreciate that, Allan. That's a good summary. It seems like the priority wasn't winning for the Lakers, which is totally fine. Like, no one cares at the end of the day. I would have preferred if we were a little better and won a little more, just for, in the sense of having fun. But it was a lot about the individual player development. And that's what it is for every team. Bronny was way better. He was way more confident. I don't think you have to say much about the basketball specifics with him, because I viewed it as like a confidence thing. And you can see from watching on TV, or if you were there like me, he looked like a different player than last summer league. So I view that as a huge win. Dalton Connect, you touched on this, Allan. I think that's a huge loss. And I don't think it's not a big deal. And I didn't really need to see like a ton scoring or shooting threes. That's not how I felt, because I've already seen what he can do, but he seemed disengaged. The defense didn't get any better, even going against summer league guys. I thought it looked horrible at times from what I saw. I also think it makes him more likely to get traded, and he's in a unique position where that's true. There aren't many guys who like summer league can make you more likely to be traded. But I do feel like he fits that because he was in year 2 and somehow has gotten worse. He didn't look like he wanted to be out there. One of the big losses for us Laker fans, and I'm sure we said this around the draft, but we didn't really know. You have Adu Thiero and Eric Dixon, two of the potentially most exciting hidden gems in the draft process, who didn't play a single minute for you in the summer league. And then I think there was a guy like Marcialonis who was good in college or some long name like that who also did not play. So I view especially Eric and Adu as a huge loss for us. Adu would have had crazy highlights. I think Eric Dixon could have dominated offensively. Summer League a few years ago, guys switched the format. Those days where it was Lonzo and Kuzma and Caruso and all them, Josh Hart making a run are over because there's no more quarterfinals anyway, and there's no tournament to it. It's kind of just like the 4-0 teams, if there's 4 of them, go play in the semifinals. That was yesterday. I'm a big Summer League fan and basketball fan. I didn't see anything about that. And in fact, there is a finals today, which I think is at like 10 Eastern, and no one cares again. I forgot who was in it. Maybe like the Grizzlies or some Kings are in it. The Kings and someone.
Yeah, I think it was the Kings and Hornets, I think.
Kings and Hornets. Yeah, that's what it was. And the Hornets were a fun team. There were some really fun teams. Yeah, old sophomores. If you're bad as an old sophomore, it's like, what are you doing? So now let's look at Kyle Filipowski, who's probably going to win Summer League MVP, and he was dominating. Earl knows him from Duke. I think a lot of you guys saw the highlights on social media. That's a sophomore who was picked in the second round, significantly lower than Connect, and looked like a 10 times better player at worst, right? So it was really a huge L from Dalton Connect. But I think being there, Kaden and I got to talk with Jovan Buha in person. And obviously he remembered us from the interview / stream we did with him. And he basically, the only insight we got was that stuff was going to happen around Shake Milton being waived, which is true. And then Marcus Smart, obviously, he didn't know about Smart, but I think the idea. And then he also said DeAnthony Melton and Al Horford are locked into the Warriors. And that was the sentiment from everyone at Summer League. So after the Warriors figure out Jonathan Kuminga, those two guys would be locked in unless something changes. You never know, but it's interesting. I think the Warriors in general are a sorry excuse for a team. That's maybe a little off topic. I hate that people compare them to us. I guess it's because of the LeBron and Curry stuff and that rivalry, you could say. But I think they're a horrible team and horribly run. It's the days of them having Bob Myers build an unbelievable roster and Mark Jackson orchestrate that are over. This team has no idea what they're doing, and they're in a horrible position with their 3 best players are extremely old, and they have no chance, I think, with how stacked the West is. That's a little off topic. Overall, it was fun. It was super hot, 115 degrees or whatever it was. We got a lot of great content and connected with some cool people. I know Kaden got a picture with Shams that I took. I did last year as well. So it was a good time, but the Lakers were not one of the main focuses of Summer League, except for the first day. Cooper Flag, Bronny James I've now been there 2 years. That was the most packed I've ever seen that building. All of the 200, 300 level or whatever you call it at the top was filled. That Cooper Flag Bronny game was ridiculous. And if Bronny had hit that game winner, that would have been one of the most legendary electric moments in Lakers Summer League history. But we did not have a lot of moments with our team where we can walk away feeling great. Darius Baisley was my favorite player on the team. Allan, I said that on Twitter a few times. I think he's still my profile picture. They're saying it looks like he tore his ACL. I don't think we've heard anything about that injury. I thought he had a chance to be on the Lakers. He's someone who's averaged 14 a game in the NBA on the bad Thunder team a few years ago. But with that injury, that literally ruled out any chance of him being on the Lakers and potentially the NBA. So that was a really, really sad moment that you hate to see that, but it looks super serious, wheelchair, all that. I was back home for that point, so I saw it on TV. But yeah, that sucked. And there weren't a lot of standouts, Allan. But yeah, Koloko was good. Like I said, Trey Jemison was horrible. I'm happy they added Koloko to the team. It made it better. And it made it better for Bronny because they connected on pick and rolls and other plays during those last few games so much, Bronny and Koloko. So it was helpful to have him. Who else am I forgetting? Cole Swider is whatever Dalton Connect is as a shooter. Cole Swider is way better. I think Cole Swider might be one of the best pure shooters in the NBA. It literally feels like he rarely misses. But the thing for him is he looks so bad on defense when I'm there and what I see on TV that I don't know if he's playable in the NBA because, as Allan said, it's year 4 or 5 of him in the summer league, and he can't really get an NBA spot with the defense he provides. Maybe he makes the most sense to be on the actual Lakers of anyone, especially if you trade Dalton Connect. But with the lack of defense, I think Laker fans would hate it. And I think he's worse at defense than Connect as well. So not much going on, but a few fun moments here and there, I guess. I thought the Hornets, the Jazz, the Mavs with Cooper, and the Spurs with Dylan were like the most fun teams to watch for me.
Yeah, that's an elite breakdown. I'll say for me, kind of honing into summer league. My favorite moments were obviously Baisley as well. I think he just provided so much energy. He was doing everything. Like he was rebounding at a high level, scoring. I probably tweeted about him. I would have to say like anywhere between like 8 to 10 times throughout the whole summer league of propaganda about adding him to the Lakers and they should take a chance. And every single time I tweeted about him, he just outperformed the last performance and looked even better. And like, yeah, it sucks. Like Jake said, like that could very well, hopefully not, have been his last moments like of NBA action. Like, and I feel like even if he wasn't with the Lakers, like he was showcasing his ability to get an NBA contract. Like he's a proven guy. And I think he was just looking for another opportunity in the NBA world and he was getting it. Like he was performing very well and consistent every single game. So it definitely sucks what happened to him. Yeah, but moving on to like the Bronny side of things, I agree. I think I definitely seen a lot more improvement. Confidence, that's the biggest word here. Confidence. I think his offensive confidence was absolutely spot on better. We talked about statistical jumps and like the Max Christie of the world from like year 1, year 2, year 3 of summer league, and just seeing like the confidence boost, like knowing where you want to go on the floor is a huge thing. It sounds so dumb to say out loud, but like being intentional about the moves you want to do on the court is not easy for a lot of people to do. It wasn't for Max Christie his rookie year. It wasn't easy for Bronny as well. Decision making wasn't there. I will admit he did have one game where he had like 9 turnovers, absolutely horrible. But offensively, he looks solid. So I'll say that. Obviously, there's things he has to work on. But for a 55th pick, I will say, not bad, kid. I'm actually happy with the progression. Good work. And I think people forget that. Like, that's a big thing people forget. Like, Bronny wasn't a first round pick. He wasn't like the 10th, 15th, the 20th pick in the NBA draft. He was picked 55. And for that, I think the progression from year 1 to year 2, it was solid. I'll take it. Dalton Connect. I mean, we had a conversation about this. I think either the week before last, about what we expected. I think it was like the start of California Classic. From Dalton Connect. Obviously, a lot of it is going to be on the defensive side of things. Not so much on the offense because we know he has those capabilities. But my God, it looked like he digressed as a basketball player. Like I don't know about you guys, but like his decision making was just so ugly to watch. Like I watched him dribble into traffic like 15 times. He had no clue where he was going, stumbling on the ball, dropping it, like just crazy turnovers. I'm not like talking about the turnovers you get from trying to pass the ball or make a play. I'm talking about the turnovers you get, like sloppy turnovers of just like walking into a contested paint and just expecting you're gonna get to the rim type of turnovers. Like that's the one part that kind of disappointed me in his gameplay. But yeah, I think that wasn't encouraging. Eric Dixon, shout out to you. I guess you had an injury and we didn't know, and then we signed you. Sounds like the typical Lakers 360 deal. We're used to it by now. No disrespect, but yeah, that was something I was looking forward to seeing. Adu Thero, Still a big question mark. I feel like that's the biggest question mark of everything, like off season. Like, what is his role next season? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Lakers are being very cautious with his recovery. We know he's like on the latter end of his recovery process. They didn't want to risk him playing at all, which I respect. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, that's like the biggest thing. Like, if you ask me, like, what's my biggest takeaway from Summer League? It's like, where does Adul Thero fit into the Lakers next season? And I think that's kind of a fair question considering how aggressive they were in trading up to acquire him, and the fact that he's a wing, a positional need on this team. So, yeah, that's kind of my takeaways. Fun summer league. Yeah, that's kind of really the only guys I'm thinking about. Shout out to Cole. I think you've pretty much said everything I had to say about Cole. Absolute great guy. I describe him. He's the Cole tier of Dalton Connects, right? Shooters who just can't play defense. The only difference between Dalton Connect and Cole is Dalton Connect obviously is a way better athlete. Everything else, I think Cole beats him at. But defense is defense. They both suck at it. I'll be completely transparent.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I was thinking about our earlier conversation too when Summer League was kicking off. I think Allan said, like, I forgot if it was Dalton Connect or Bronny, but like, who will be more like the Max Christie? Who will be more like the Josh Hart or whatever? You guys remember we were talking about that? And I didn't see any of that from any of them, to be fair, right? You look at, like, Bronny was good, but he's nowhere as good as Max Christie was in year 2, much less Josh Hart, who was like Summer League MVP and dominating. Brandon Ingram, even D'Lo, like, Bronny is levels below all those guys, and he was picked really low. And then to your point, Earl, the Adu thing, I do also think that's one of the – I said I do. It sounded like his name. But I also think that's one of the biggest question marks because he's kind of like a rookie who, even on a contender team, which I'll call us, like, he could still play a really big role here because of his defense. I think it's way easier to put him out with his defense and athleticism than it was to put Dalton Connect out with his shooting last year as a rookie. So I think a dude could, like, he'll have a chance to earn being a backup small forward or whatever the case is, spot minutes, but excited to watch him. They should give him a lot of run in preseason, and they should probably give Bronny and even Dalton, if he's still here, a lot of run in preseason. Just use that to see who's at the end of the rotation, because I think that will be important for us.
Yeah, I think the last time at least question I got, I'll start for you, Jake, for this one. I know me and Earl talked about this extensively during these last week's podcast, but from this NBA Summer League, do you see Bronny James taking Gabe Vincent's spot, where it be the backup point guard or at least maybe third string point guard after acquisition of course, Marcus Smart?
Well, you just said it with Marcus Smart. Like, that almost makes me feel like it's way less likely. If Marcus Smart and Gabe Vincent are both injured, I can see that. But I think, like, we should calm down. I would love to see Bronny out there over Gabe Vincent. I hate watching Gabe play basketball. Totally get that. At the same time, Gabe Vincent is way better for your team to throw out on a given night than Bronny James. That's where I'm at. It's significantly better with his NBA experience, assuming he's healthy, to throw him out there. So, no, I think all those talks are stupid. That Bronny could take his spot. If Bronny dominated Summer League, and I'm talking over 20 a game and the defense and the playmaking, sure, we would be there. But I don't think we're even there with Bronny. You add in Marcus Smart to that equation of those types of players, and I think it becomes way less likely. I don't have any sense that Bronny James will be in the Lakers rotation next year. I've always kind of thought by year 3 it's possible. But, Allan, if they go trade Gabe Vincent, yeah, that opens it up. They trade Gabe Vincent for a wing or a center, then yes, it opens up way more of a possibility of him. As I said about the preseason, Allan, I would give him 20-plus minutes a game, though, to Bronny, because who cares? And you can evaluate. Maybe you can really compare him to Gabe Vincent then in a time like preseason and figure out, like, who's better off in that spot. But at his height, Bronny's height, I think he's less than 6 feet. I think he's less than 6 feet. They list him at 6 feet or 6'1" or whatever it is. I think he's smaller. So I do think he's an inch or two smaller than Gabe. We already complain about Gabe's height. Plus, Gabe is a veteran in this league. So I think it makes way more sense on a given regular season game, third game of the season, to play Gabe over Bronny. So I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I'll probably play the opposite. Like I'll probably play the middle on this one. I feel like Gabe Vincent to me, he's kind of already proven what he can bring to us on the table as far as value. My perspective is like if we're going to eventually move on from Gabe Vincent, which we are because he's an expiring contract, why not give Bronny some of those opportunities to prove like if he can do it or not? Because at the end of the day, I think the best lesson learned is opportunity and just proven track record. I don't think he got a lot of that last year. Speaking about Bronny, which is understandable. He was a rookie. I don't think he needed those type of minutes yet, but I definitely agree. I think preseason could be a huge chance for him to kind of get a little bit more of those real rotations. Obviously, it's not going to be everyone's best star players playing, but it feels more of a NBA setting compared to a summer league. It's like a one step up elevation, if that makes sense. So yeah, I kind of agree. Like it definitely changed a lot when Marcus Smart joined the team. Obviously, you have a lot of guards still available over him. You have Smart, you have Gabe, you have Goodwin as well, who's still contract on the Lakers. So really, he's falling deep into the depth chart. Like let's just be 100% transparent. So for me now, it's not as likely, but if we do move Gabe for a wing, I could definitely see it. But when it was just Gabe and Bronny, I like the idea of giving Bronny spot minutes just to see how things go down. So that was kind of my thought process there.
Yeah, when the time comes, if Gabe does get traded, Bronny does deserve a chance. He played well in the summer league. Like I said, as Earl mentioned, the turnovers and everything. But as a playmaking, and like I said, everyone mentioned his confidence. You have to take opportunity on that. You have to build on this development. And I think JJ Rec is fully, I'm not gonna say expected, but he's fully aware of building a development team. We can't fully rely on the veterans. This has to be a 15-man roster. Not everybody could play, but given this preseason and everything going on, LeBron's gonna rest, Luka's gonna rest, Austin's gonna rest. The main guys are not gonna play too much, so you have to give the Daltons, the Bronny James, the Adus, Jake LaRavias, etc., the time to develop. Because once we get to, I don't know, December and they're not prepared, then I think that's a serious problem for the Lakers in the future.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, especially about the development piece of it all you're talking about. We'll see. Is Gabe the one who gets traded soon? Because that changes the Bronny outlook too. But I would also point out to you guys the last point on that isn't in the NBA Bronny. Okay, so like Gabe was an off-ball player a lot, right? Especially when we got Luka, and then obviously we had Austin, we had D'Lo, we had LeBron, who's on the ball still a lot. That means like Bronny's role on the team would be off ball. But now offensively, you have an off ball, 6 foot tall guy who's not good at catch and shoots. And he almost kind of needs the ball to be better in the G League and the Summer League, right? So having Bronny as an off ball guy, I feel like changes this conversation. Again, I really don't like Gabe Vincent, and I'm all for giving Bronny a chance, but Gabe would be much better off the ball than Bronny, and he helped us win some games from going 4 of 4 from 3. And so your role in the NBA with Bronny is very different than his role in the G League or Summer League. So I don't know if we have any evidence that Bronny can play off the ball and contribute to winning at that NBA level. So that to me also makes it less likely. Having that height at basically shooting guard out. Because think about it, he's going to be out there with Austin or Luka or Marcus. So now he's going to be a severely undersized shooting guard. So how does that work in the NBA? Like that doesn't feel ideal for him. He almost needs to be like a bench point guard somewhere and run the second unit. And I don't know if we're like there yet, you know?
Yeah, that was all for That's all for today's podcast. Thank you all for joining the Quest 18 podcast. We are always on X at Quest 18 Pod, on YouTube at Quest 18 Pod. That's where you find mostly our short, our at least playbacks of this live video. As always, as well, follow us on playback right here, Playoff LAL. There'll be live Lakers streams during the preseason. I imagine it's going to be majority silent after the summer league. There isn't much to look upon. I imagine if you do some breaking news or any news coming around Lakers or be trades, signings, etc. I know they have Spaces hosted by Mark, aka Klutch _23, I believe. Jake also hosted, I believe, the Spaces for with the Marcus Smart the signing, and at least for Earl as well. And Jake, feel free to plug all your socials and everything you got going on.
Yeah, I'll just say make sure you follow Playoff LAL on TikTok. Allan does a tremendous job of providing all Lakers content. He's been killing the page, has been growing at a crazy, extremely high rate over the summer. So go work on that part of things. I'll also say follow Playoff Sports Network on TikTok, and also Playoff NBA on TikTok as well. Our new TikTok account. So yeah, that's kind of where our content is. Obviously, X as well. Follow Jake for Spaces and Mark as well. A lot of great, or Klutch23, I should say. A lot of great summer content. Obviously, things will get a little bit slow, but we always find something. Like if it's completely dead, we'll figure something out, of course. But yeah, always a pleasure talking hoops with y'all every single week.
Yes, sir. Last bit of information. I just saw this from like Jovan too.
Oh, okay.
Marcus Smart cleared waivers. Sorry, he didn't clear waivers. They reached an official buyout post 4 o'clock Central Time today, which means that he officially clears waivers actually in like 3 days now. So Wednesday, 4 p.m. And I do feel that makes it more likely there's a trade, because that gives the Lakers from now to Wednesday to work out a trade to free up that money, instead of like, imagine it had to be right now and they had to secure him and they just waive Goodwin. So keep an eye out for Lakers news between now and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Also that's Central Time, so Pacific, like 2 p.m. On Wednesday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. See if they sign Marcus Smart right away, or they don't announce that and something else is on the way, if we haven't heard something already. But as always, ton of fun doing this with you guys, and I'll see you next Sunday.
Yes, indeed. The Quest YouTube podcast is always on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. PST or 5:30 p.m. EST. Sometimes we do some time switches due to circumstances, or at least any news that say breaking news as well that does go on. But yeah, as always, continue to follow us. It was a great time. Thank you all to the chat. Shout out to AV7/PlayoffDemons. Shout out to Hayes Muse, Mal, Neil to Fly, who else? Jake021. And I think that's Nelly. I will say the other part of it because I don't know, but Nelly. But yeah, as always, continue to follow us, Playoff LAL, and as always, it's a great rest of your day. Let's go Lakers. Peace out, everybody.